To say that the lore has changed is beyond an understatement. I've made this exact same video back in Legion, then I made an updated version around the start of Shadowlands that changed the list from the ground up, and now as we're starting the World Soul Saga, the list is pretty much entirely different yet again. The Jailer is a lot more useless than we thought, Elune is a lot more important than we thought, Sargeras, while insanely powerful, is not as big of a player as we previously thought, and some of the good guys like the Naaru and the Titans may not be as good as we thought and may in fact be a lot more powerful than we previously believed. So, taking all the new lore into account that is to come in the World Soul Saga, who are the most powerful characters we currently know of in the Warcraft universe? If you want to immerse yourself in a dark fantasy RPG, check out Bloodline Heroes of Letters that you can download with my link in the description, or you can scan the QR code if you're viewing on PC. Featuring a fantasy world with amazing 3D graphics, but most importantly featuring a unique gacha gameplay hybrid system where you can customize and marry champions, creating new bloodlines, hybrids like mixing elves and orcs, all with unique appearances. Build your kingdom with strategic gameplay and join in on guild wars where you can conquer territories with your guild. And best of all, check out the Easter event called the Beast Feast where you can conquer culinary challenges in order to get a chance to exchange for exclusive clan hero Yin the Hidden as well as rare items. Download the game completely free for Android and iOS with my link in the description, or scan the QR code if you're viewing on PC and you will get a special starter pack. 1 summoning crystal, 100k gold, and 100 diamond. The first 30 players that leave their in-game account ID and username in the first pinned comment will get a free legendary female succubus champion, the Luxuriant, and you can also enhance your gameplay with up to 50% off the payment top-up center. Check out Bloodline Heroes of Letters. Primus. So, this is a really funny guy that I feel like soon we are going to learn quite a bit more about. Originally, I was going to put the Jailer here, but really the Jailer is useless. I mean, got defeated in 2 patches. Most of the genius stuff was actually Denatrius as well as Primus, but there is still an interesting theory that the real bad guy had been Primus and not Zoal. Now, Primus is the defender of the Shadowlands, the leader of Maldraxxus, that he has a superpower to see every possible outcome of a battle and choose the best option, which he might have gotten from the Titans. He is also the one that created Domination magic, Frostmourne, Hell of Domination, essentially the Lich King as you know him. Now, you may be thinking, why is he even on the list? Wasn't he imprisoned by Zoal in Shadowlands and we had to save him and he was pretty useless? And you're right, but it is really the other lore implications that seem very realistic at the moment. Recent theory about a Titan prison of Azeroth shows Domination runes. Apparently, aman'thul gave Primus his powers, so taking this logic into account, he might be the one that put the prison over Azeroth and is much more implicated in crazy things and is a lot more influential than he appeared on first glance. There is also a really strong theory that he might really be the true Jailer and that he played us all back in Shadowlands. The main reason he is 10th on this list is because most of this is speculation, albeit his superpower is actually insanely overpowered. I feel like Blizzard didn't really think this through. I mean, imagine being able to do like a quick save in every battle and just load the game every time. However, if the speculations are true, he might just turn out to be near the top of this list in just a few years. Old Gods. The biggest fall from power in all of WoW history. Originally, these guys were like the #1 villains and even Sargeras was afraid of them. There was supposed to be a relationship between Yogg-Saron and the Lich King, their influence on Draenor, but then the Chronicle came out and just retconned them to oblivion to just sort of very powerful tools of the Void Lords, but that did shift a little bit recently. Old Gods, as far as we know, are the #1 weapons of the Void. They're like probes, but also powerhouses in themselves. Void Lords created them, flung them across the universe to latch onto as many planets as they can, and so that they can convert the ones that have a world soul. While Sargeras did split a planet with one strike filled with Old Gods, don't be mistaken, they're still incredibly powerful just as they are. Keep in mind, they single-handedly defeated and enslaved the Elementals, created a Black Empire that ruled Azeroth for a really long time. Only the Titans could put an end to them, and that was after a really hard war. Recently, Blizzard changed their lore once again, told us that they might not be the servants we think they are, and they, as beings of chaos, are prone to rebellion, so they could really be working against the Void Lord's interests and for themselves. So they're still powerful, still one of the biggest villains of the Warcraft universe, but they really fell from like the 1st and the 2nd place to right now the 9th, and even the recent lore didn't change much as they are with the new lore, really not that big big of a deal despite being insanely powerful. Elune. Elune is potentially the biggest mystery ever in the Warcraft universe, and each expansion that passes, we realize that she's much bigger than we previously thought. Originally, we believed she was something akin to like a wild god related to the Night Elves, not really that big of a deal. However, then it turned out she's the sister of the Winter Queen. As the broker stage, she's something of a life titan, a counter to the Death Pantheon. The thing is though, she isn't bound to just Azeroth but other planets as well, and she can provide insanely powerful abilities to their followers like the Night Warrior. We most recently learned she had a special relationship with the Titan Eonar, and together with her, she planted the first ever world tree known as the Luna here on Azeroth. Recent documents also state that we don't really understand the Emerald Dream, and that beyond the known bounds could be where Elune lies. Seeing that she collaborated with the Titans during the time of the Black Empire, she is truly ancient, but not as ancient as others, as Zealotat calls her an upstart goddess, while our Night Warrior turned out to be sorta lame and not really that powerful, although power-wise technically it was actually useful. Tyrande nearly got Sylvanas until Elune decided to just retract her powers. On other planets though, it was insanely powerful as it helped them fight off an old god invasion. As Elune is still a mystery, it is super hard to really rank her as we don't even know what she really is. However, it is almost certain that she will play a big role in the World Soul saga, and she has been around Azeroth for hundreds of thousands of years, making her one of the most influential cosmological beings. Denatrius and the Dreadlords. So, I don't really want to put the Eternal ones on the list that I previously put here because most of them are entirely useless, they don't project any power, and they're mostly restricted to the Death Realm, and even in the Death Realm they're not that powerful. And all of the crazy 200 IQ moves that the Death Realm has pulled came really from Denatrius and his Dreadlords. Here's the thing, Denatrius has been messing with everyone since forever, but he realized that everyone is insanely more powerful on a cosmological scale in like 1v1 combat, so he built an order of agents known as the Natrazim, or as he called them, Tal Kitun, the Unseen Guests, and that is exactly what they are. Through his agents, he defeated the most powerful beings in the universe. He essentially split the entire Pantheon by having his agents corrupt Sargeras. He then got him to create the Legion. He infiltrated the entire army, maneuvered his machine planet Argus to break the Death Realm. He is directly and indirectly responsible for the creation of the Legion, the Lich King, the Scourge. He has a Light agent, he has a Void agent, apparently he also has a Life agent we will soon discover. Sure, we defeated him, but did we really? As far as we know, he just escaped and he's still working on his crazy plan. There are hints that he could take over the remnants of the Legion as well as the Scourge, and that his ultimate goal is to get to Azeroth. So power-wise, Denatrius may be on a scale of someone like Illidan, but accomplishment-wise, with his Dreadlord army, he is one of the most powerful forces that ever existed in the Warcraft universe. Naaru and the Light. This is one of the most difficult characters to rank because Blizzard is so incredibly contradictory in their lore. On one occasion, a relatively minor character like Illidan manages to blast a Prime Naaru Zera in one spell. A Naaru gets captured by Kiltas, and even in Revendreth, it gets captured. But on another occasion, a Naaru comes in and blows up and vanishes an entire super powerful manifested Voidlord that had previously destroyed the ethereal homeworld. When I'm talking about the Naaru, I'm really talking about the Light. And the Naaru are just some of the agents of it. One thing is certain, the Light is not a brute force super #1 villain, but much like the Void, their power lies in infiltration, and it is incredibly subtle. Sure, they can blow things up and they have an army, but that is really an addition to their power base. Their entire shtick comes from their ideology and how they can influence entire worlds. Think about how they conquered the entirety of Alternate Draenor by installing the right agents and just taking their sweet time. A popular theory is that they're doing the same thing on Azeroth with Turelion and Kalia, and potentially Anduin may be realizing he was a part of that plot as well, unwillingly. What is certain though is that the Light doesn't mess around. They're dead set on their one true mission, and if you stand in their way, you will become their enemy. So the Naaru, while not really powerhouses in 1v1 combat, their strength really comes from mind control that you don't even know you're being subjected to. Sargeras. Hands down, this is, as far as we know, the most powerful guy in the entire universe in 1v1 combat. Sure, he's not at the top of this list, his power is much more than just simple brute force, as was evident by his failed Burning Crusade, but this guy is just one single powerhouse. He was a powerhouse when he was a Titan, he imprisoned all the demons, he defeated them, he split open a world in one single swing, he then absorbed Fel, obliterated the entire Titan pantheon that were all near his strength when he was just a Titan, and after that the guy destroyed like half of the universe. We have never really seen anyone this powerful in all history. I don't think anyone would stand a chance against him in 1v1 combat, apart from maybe the first ones, but we don't really know anything about him. Now the reason he is above the Dreadlords, even though they were the ones that led him to his doom, is because the game is still not over. The Natrius won one battle, but by all accounts, Sargeras should be returning by the end of the World Soul Saga, and there seems to be much more behind his sword and the entire reason that he started a crusade than we currently know. Titans. So, I know immediately what you may be thinking. I mean, how could you possibly rank the Titans above Sargeras when Sargeras single-handedly defeated all the Titans combined? But the thing is, we are not here talking about brute force power, as keep in mind, the Titans are alive now and they're the ones keeping Sargeras imprisoned. Their main power comes from their insanely intricate structure and that they had created, and the armies, weapons, enslaved worlds that don't even know they're enslaved. However, brute force-wise, they're still one of the most powerful beings ever. I mean, remember, Sargeras split the planet in half with his sword when he was just a simple Titan. Aman'thul ripped out Yasharaj, the most powerful old god, like nothing. He ripped out the world tree Elune here like nothing. However, their main power is their brainwashing mechanisms, prisons, and armies they had created. There is an ongoing theory that they had put the entirety of Azeroth in a prison, a gigantic, intricate, worldwide mechanism. They got mechanisms that can blow up the entire planet. The sheer number of their followers is insane. Keep in mind, most of the playable races are Titan in origin, and the very powerful dragon aspects until recently were Titan servants. However, as I said, the main power is this subtle brainwashing that makes you believe they're right even when they're not, but it is also their biggest weakness, as if the truth is ever revealed, they lose quite a bit of their power base. Still, the final saga expansion is called The Last Titan. They are coming, they're one of the biggest players in the universe, and even though in a weakened form, they're still one of the biggest cosmological guys out there. Void Lords. At the moment, these are really the main villains of World of Warcraft. Now, they're completely different when compared to any other villain we know of in the game. You may be thinking, I mean, how could they be ranked so high when it was said that the Void Lords are jealous of the Titan power? But once again, as I said, power is so multifaceted. Everyone has been out trying to destroy them. The Titans failed, Sargeras destroyed half the universe. They're the whole reason he started a crusade, and he failed as well. And as far as we know, the Light hasn't really gotten much further in their battle against the Void. The thing about them is they can't manifest themselves in the material plane, but as Zaldat said, once they do, their power is beyond insane, and for this they need a gigantic power source, which could likely be Azeroth, which could be the entire plot of WoW Midnight. We know of one occasion when a Void Lord came in personally and destroyed the entire planet of the Ethereals as well as their corporeal form. To see the true power of the Void Lords, I mean, just imagine that the old gods and their Black Empire is just one of the many weapons in their arsenal. I'm guessing in Midnight we might get the closest we had ever gotten to seeing them in person, but so far most of their power comes from agents, old gods, void beings, void minions, pretty much similar to how the Dreadlords operate, and they had been incredibly successful throughout all these years. I mean, one of their agents, Zaldat, is messing with us as we speak, so seeing how long they had lasted, how they had outsmarted almost everyone, at the moment their spot on this list is beyond justified. World Soul. This is mainly referring to Azeroth, but also Argus, even though we don't really know if they're actually related. Chronicle originally told us that the World Souls are just nascent Titans, but pretty much most recent lore contradicts that, and that this is just Titan justification for trying to steal the world for themselves. Most other sources state that World Soul are just powerful elementals, like huge elemental power sources. Now, Argus himself was insanely powerful. I mean, keep in mind, this was a planet that had essentially powered up the insanely speedy regeneration of the Burning Legion, and through Argus, they had managed to destroy most of the universe. However, Azeroth is much beyond this power level, which is why all the big guys are constantly messing with us. It is hard to really rank it, but it is a totally realistic statement to say that Azeroth is the most powerful being in the entire universe. You can see that by just observing how powerful the Well of Eternity was, which was but a small wound of Azeroth, and even the Sunwell, which was just a few vials of this power. We still don't know for certain what Azeroth really is, but what is certain is that she's insanely, ridiculously powerful. First ones. I didn't really like putting these guys in the first place because we really don't know anything about them, but looking at the facts that we do know, it is really stupid to put anyone else above them. It was said that the 6 cosmological forces were in a free-for-all war and that these guys as the 7th force came in and essentially put them all in their place, created a mechanism that seems to be potentially based around Azeroth. It also seems like they had created most of these pantheons and these big guys that had just ranked. We had seen what they had done behind the creation of the Pantheon of Death, and the recent lore told us that Zereth Orders, where the Titans are from, have very likely been created by the first ones as well. So, seeing that the first ones really built everyone, defeated all the 6 forces, essentially ordered the universe, they're without a doubt the most powerful beings, even though we don't even know who they are and whether they still even exist. Thank you for watching. Check out all the major series that will get revamped in the World Soul Saga by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.